Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back. So, first, let me just say I can already tell some glitches with our system. So, hopefully, we have no problems today, but we're going to carry on and see what happens. I just
Fingers
noticed one.
crossed.
Yeah, I just noticed a little glitch, but okay, we're going to carry on. All right. Hey, everybody, welcome to the recap of Fear of the Walking Dead. We are here every week to discuss the latest episode. You can catch our recaps at any time, available on most major podcast platforms. Get new and past episodes for free in the podcast app of your choice, including YouTube. For those of you joining us live tonight, thanks for taking time out of your evening to be here. I am your host, Tamara, and I love a good TV show and a good book. So if you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Recap Pods. And if you're into books, you can also find me at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is show co host Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Hey, Tamara. Hey, everyone. Hey, Karina. My name is Lisa Orban. I'm an author and I'm the owner of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture. So if you'd like to find me anywhere online, you can find me pretty much everywhere at Lisa Orban Author or at Indies United Pub.
Right. So before we get started, we'd like to remind you that we want your participation in this conversation. So if you're listening live in the chat, hit us up in the comment section. If you are catching this on a replay, you can still leave comments or you can call in using the voicemail link in the show notes. We would like to hear from you and possibly include your comments in the episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. If you are new here, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Oh, absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Yes, no scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around a lot, and of course, huge spoiler alert for everything in the Walking Dead universe through Sunday's episode. So if you're cool with that, this is the place for you, and let's jump into episode 2. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, I am going to say this episode was dark. It was so dark.
It was. I heard it was supposed to be the bomb.com, and it was very different, and it was.
I only have one complaint, and it's a minor one.
What is it?
Okay, when she was going through that car with all the chained up walkers,
Mm-hmm.
when they were chained up, why did she just not stab them all in the head as she went past?
Right. Yes.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying, they were there. They were, confined. Stab, stab, stabs. I mean, she had the knife. We know she had the knife.
Yeah.
It would have just eliminated that entire problem.
Yeah, it would have. But, that would be too easy.
I'm aware. I'm just, it was just.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm yelling at the TV, going, "Are you kidding me?" Before they even got loose, after she walked past the first one, kind of slid past. I'm like, "Why are you not killing them?"
Mm-hmm. That would
Because
have
you
made more
knew.
sense.
I mean, come on, they've been dealing with walkers forever. Why leave any of them alive?
Mm-hmm. Speaking of
So
walkers, what are they? They're calling them something else in this show. They're calling them. What are they calling them now? It starts with a C, and I meant to write it down. I'm like, oh, I have to get used to this new name that they're
yeah,
using this season.
I know it wasn't shamblers. It was.
No, it was like it sounded like illness or something. If anyone remembers, leave the name so because they're not calling them walkers anymore. They're
Yeah,
saying it's the
Carton.
something.
I knew Karina would come
Carrigan,
through for
that's it. The
Carrion.
Carrigan. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
I knew Karina would come through for us.
Carrion. Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Karina. We know you got our backs. Thank you. Um, I wonder why they opted to just start calling them something else just because we're dealing with a new community.
Maybe it it could be. I mean, it is their last season. Obviously, they are shaking things up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did really, so at the beginning, all right, when you're gonna have to help me out. I'm having a day. Uh,
June.
yes, when June was out there and she's darting these people.
Mm-hmm.
All I could think of is she's gonna run into one of her people. What's she gonna
Mm-hmm.
do then? And then we found out.
Yeah, not cut their finger off. That's good.
Yeah, you know,
But can I
she
just say, if
has.
you're doing this, especially we find out the reason why she's cutting fingers off, I know it's like the medical person in her, but I'm like, why are you like putting these people out and giving them surgery? I mean, chop that finger off and carry on. I mean, she's cutting everyone's finger off so nicely. They have nice heal wounds. I'm like, she's
Well,
not
I mean, she
cutting off.
doesn't want him to bleed to death. She just doesn't want him to be able to use her trigger finger anymore.
They don't have to bleed to death. But I mean, she's doing the most. She's like doing surgeries a day, mini surgeries a day.
Yeah. I don't, there's probably, June has always been a meticulous person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just part of her nature. If she's going to do it, she's going to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Her goal is not technically to, she doesn't want him to get gangrene or anything. I don't
She
think
just wants to
she's,
stop them from shooting. But you know what? I think people who don't have a trigger finger will learn how to use a different finger or learn how to use the other hand. I'm like, why isn't she cutting off the index finger on both hands?
I'm going to tell you because I, believe it or not, I used to do a lot of shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have a dominant eye and you have a dominant hand, and it switching from one to the other is for precision shooting is terribly difficult.
Yeah, I can get that.
I mean, if we're talking like scatter shot, buckshot, who cares? You point in the general direction and away it goes. Um, but for any kind of precision shooting, you got switching from learning from one side to the other. I mean it. Oh, it's hard.
I'm sure
You,
it is, but it's not impossible, right?
it would take years.
Hey, and I'd do it if I were in the apocalypse. If I didn't have my right finger, I would sure as hell be trying my damnedest to learn how to shoot with
Yeah.
my left hand. It would be, like you said, it might be tedious and take
I
years,
mean,
but
you could try to. You could technically. It would be easier to train your middle finger to take over the
mhm,
job of the index finger.
yeah,
But
you
again,
just have to shift your hand a little bit.
yeah. But there's an awkwardness there because you know just the way you hold the gun and have it steady. Um, Doing that can put you off balance. And again, there's just this big adjustment time. But again, June is trying to send a message, I guess. What I
No,
don't
she's just
understand
trying
is,
to prevent. I don't think she's trying to send a message. I mean, kind of, but not really. I feel like she thinks she's actively doing something
yeah.
that's going to
And
stop.
and I'm getting, is she stuck there? Is she on, is that an island or something? Because, she's saying that she wants to leave, but she can't. So,
Yeah, I don't think she's on an island only because of the signs she's putting up, the signs that were keeping people like from going this
yeah.
way. So I
So why
think
doesn't she just walk out of there then?
that's what I was wondering. Like, why don't you just leave? I mean, why? I'm very confused by this. I wish it seems like she should just be able to walk away. No? I mean,
Yeah, well, because the only other thing I can think of is that there are a series of inlets. That people are coming in, but they came in on a boat. Like they did, or something. Because June's a resourceful person. So she really wanted to leave, unless there was a barrier of some kind. I'm not sure why she hasn't left.
well, we know that they came on a boat because they
Mm-hmm.
were coming from far away, right? They
Right.
were coming like around the ocean or something,
Right.
right? But I
And we
I
know it's
can't imagine.
swampy.
Maybe Padre is on an island, but I don't
Well,
think
Padre
she's.
is on an island.
Yeah, but they're coming to the mainland every time they come there on those boats.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, I don't know. I do find that confusing on um why she doesn't just leave, but because she's all about leaving, but she needs a boat.
yeah.
So and
Maybe she can't get as far as she wants on foot, so she's going to wait until she can get a boat. But which doesn't make sense to me because, for example, we saw her knock out two people at the beginning of this episode. She could have
hmm
dragged their bodies out the boat,
I know,
left it on the shore, got in the boat, and left.
and left.
Yeah, I don't quite get that, but again, that's like when you
And
start
man, did you see
nitpicking
that?
it.
Did you see that cachet of weapons she had?
Oh yeah, she's kept taking people's weapons and taking the weapons, storing them away, taking the fingers, putting them in
In the
her
jar
jar.
of formaldehyde.
I
You
think she
know.
secretly is enjoying this, so she's not ready to she's not, like, rushing to leave, like, her pants are
Yeah.
on fire.
Well, and there's also, I mean, June has lost everything.
Mhm.
You know, she's lost her husband, she's lost her father-in-law, she's lost her community, she's lost her purpose for being. Um, we know that she had this devastate. You know, she had faith in Padre at the beginning, and then after these experiments that we find out about, she is devastated. So I think she might, part of the reason she might be sticking around, you know, it's that she doesn't have anything else to live for,
Yeah, maybe.
or anyone else to live for.
Yeah,
All of her people are gone. You know, she'd be
true.
out alone again. And I mean, she is alone now, but at least she's alone with a purpose.
Mhm. Which she does have a purpose, and I think that she operates best in that kind of, like, very strategic and militant almost,
Mm-hmm.
routine. I do this every day. No one's around, and it seemed like she has a routine. She
Yeah.
shoots the people down. She very like
Meticulous.
meticulous about it all.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is very carefully planned, carefully executed. Of course, you know, her entire plans were set awry by a 8 year old, you know, or 7 year old, I guess,
Right.
who actually looks much more his age, by the
He
way.
does. He does. They hired someone appropriate to the age of
Mm-hmm.
what their kids should be. So, were you surprised when Sherry and Dwight showed up?
You
Like, ooh,
know,
them.
honestly, no, because when they showed the recap, you know, the previous season recap, they had
Mhm.
the two of them in there, so I knew that this episode would have something to do with them.
Ah, okay.
I wasn't, and honestly, I assumed when I saw her shooting people in the boat, I'm like, she's gonna shoot somebody. She's gonna shoot
Mhm.
Dwight.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, so no, I wasn't. If I hadn't have seen the you know the previews, you know, from last season or whatever, I probably would have been maybe a little bit more. But I assumed that Dwight and Sherry would show up here pretty quickly.
But what did surprise me about them was the fact that they were a part of Padre in that way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they too had drank the Kool-Aid. They too were just following the rules and doing what they need to do. And they were totally fine taking their child back there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and so the rules for the adults are they can't have any adult relations. Um,
Mhm.
and which
They
really
probably
kind
don't
of
want
struck.
anybody having any kids.
Right. No kids, no ties.
No family, yep.
Um, which is why, you know, and the thing of it is they have enough adults here that they could just repopulate. I'm just saying.
But I think it's harder to enforce that no ties if you're having couples have kids in
Right.
Padre.
You know, now, and the other thing is, as meticulous as Padre is, how is it that they don't realize that Dwight and um, Sherry are his, you know, this kid's parents? How do they
Well,
not know that?
so I'm thinking that Padre probably knew, right? And then when she said she got reassigned, June was like, "Oh, so you lied?" So it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like she got around that by getting reassigned by someone much lower down on the totem pole,
Mm-hmm.
probably.
But you know, since they are so meticulous about it, it does kind of, because the way they were talking, they made it sound like when they gave him up,
Mhm.
they weren't aware of which baby he was.
Mhm.
When obviously, as a parent, they were keeping a very close eye. And I kind of think for the same reason Morgan kind of did is, you know, that they were the whole when she found out she was pregnant, she's like, you know, we have something to live for, we have something to fight for, you know, and Padre seemed to offer, you know, obviously medical facilities for her to have the baby safely, to raise the baby in a safe environment, and I could kind of see, as long as they could stay close-ish to him, why this would have some appeal.
It just
And
seems so wild. They are so rebels. Like they were even talking about, hey, this feels like, you know, the sanctuary, right?
yeah,
Not sanctuary. Is that what it was called? Yeah.
yeah, sanctuary,
So
with,
yeah,
you know,
since they ran away from that, I feel like in this show, they've been like against the grain of stuff. Like in what the episodes when they're like riding on the horses and they're like
hmm
saving people and doing stuff. I'm like, I just have a hard time wrapping my mind around them just like falling in line like that.
yeah.
But
Well, and I also get the impression that when these when they were taken, there were two options. They could be the baby could be taken and they bounced, away, or they could voluntarily turn over the baby and be allowed to at least peripherally, be involved.
I guess the good thing about them particularly is that unlike with Morgan, right? Morgan was like really fighting against, doing something or taking
hmm
his child and leaving. Once June kind of like blurted out her story,
hmm
they're like, okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
up until the point where Sherry saw those medical files, they were,
Mhm.
don't tell them anything, don't let them know what's going on. We're taking them back,
Mhm.
and so
Because
yeah, as
what
soon as
they're
they
doing
realized that.
there, see, I think to me, what Padre is doing with the test, right? I understand they're trying to find a cure.
hmm
But how cruel they are about it. How cruel Strike was when
Oh
she let
yeah,
that walkerhead just bite that innocent child doing nothing but sleeping. That
yeah.
goes
He's under
against
anesthesia.
yeah, but that goes against all their little like things that they live by, right? Protecting the children, right? Doing
Yeah.
all this stuff and you purposefully hurt a child like for no reason. So it's like
Well, and that's when June thought that they were legitimately trying to help, and they were only doing this to volunteers. Okay, someone
mhm.
that had been bitten, was going to die either way,
Mhm.
and had volunteered.
Mhm.
June could see the possible benefit of it.
Right.
It but where that started to change is when, one, with the girl, the little girl, when it just put her through excruciating death. And June says, "We got
Mhm.
to cut this off." And the other one's like, "No, let her suffer for science."
Right.
Um, and then yet that was a point where I think June really took the wool off her eyes and realized that some of these volunteers were probably not volunteers. you know.
You know what, June, she saw what she wanted to see, and like you said, I do agree that child was like the straw that broke the camel's back, right?
hmm
But she probably had an inkling the whole time. I'm sure everyone wasn't looking like they wanted to be there and were
Right.
happy to be a part of this experiment.
Exactly. And the fact that they were, you know, methodically forcing people to undergo some pretty brutal treatments. And again, I understand why it is beneficial to try and find a cure.
Mhm.
Um, but this was definitely a case where the cure was worse than the disease.
Mhm.
Um, and I understand from a scientific point of view of letting letting the treatment run its course to its ultimate end, to record it so that they can adjust.
Mhm.
But particularly, it's one thing to say to an adult, it's not probably going to work. You are the experiment, but your data could help us, you know. But for a child, a young child,
Yeah. Just put them out of their misery. Why do that to a child?
right? A child that age can't give informed consent.
No.
And it is a very different mindset if an adult says, yeah, I understand what's going on, and I want to save kids, I want to save my family or whatever. um,
Mhm.
but for a young child, that's not even a it's not a rational understanding. I mean, they're beyond that concept at that age.
But that is almost what makes this almost like a horror story,
Mm-hmm.
because their whole thing are, we protect the children that their parents cannot protect, right?
Right.
We are doing this. But not really. Not
Right.
really, they are not.
The everyone there, like it or not, is part of the grand experiment.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it's pretty brutal.
So it's like the big lie. The
Yeah.
whole people are going to start figuring out what's going on, and then it looks like from the little previews people are going to start kind of uprising of some kind.
Right. And
Yeah.
so I'm pretty sure where Morgan and uh, lady I hate, um, uh-huh, her,
Yeah,
uh,
her. Yeah, I can't
were
even think of her name right now. Good lord, it's escaping me. Oh, Madison. Lord, I almost
Madison.
said Meredith because I was
Yeah.
thinking of Grays. No, that's
No.
wrong. It's Madison.
I'm pretty sure while they were in the truck where they were heading off to, is they were heading off to that train car.
Oh
I'm,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure
yeah.
that's exactly where they were taking them.
I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised that it took them that long to take Madison there. I mean, so I guess they must have been using her blood as, I don't know, like in the testing. Maybe
Maybe.
June was using her blood and she didn't know it was her blood. She didn't know where the
Yeah.
blood was coming from.
Well, June has been doing this for what they say 2 years. It's been
Yeah.
going on for a year, 2 years now, so it's been a minute.
Mhm.
Um, and the other thing I don't understand is, okay, I understand letting the experiment, letting them turn into walkers, but once they reach that state, they really don't have any more viable data for these guys. So why were they chaining them up? Why not just kill them?
I don't know. That is weird. Why not just kill them? Once they've turned, just kill them. Why are you hoarding the horde in these train cars? Like, that
And
seems like a bad idea.
keeping the heads in jars.
It's weird. It's just like, I think they were just really trying to up the creep factor of like a mad scientist
Yeah.
situation.
Well, and obviously they, okay, so as soon as they put that head in that clasp thing,
Oh my god.
I realized, oh my god, they have been
Yeah.
intentionally infecting people.
Yes.
So
Yes,
they
that
weren't
thing is
waiting for
meant
them to
for that.
randomly get bit. This was, just taking healthy people and having them bitten.
Mhm. And I mean, to just make it worse, they didn't even just take any old random head of a walker. They had to take Adrian's head. They had to
Mm.
take the girl's father's head. Like, that was just really cruel, I think. Like,
Yeah.
he finds out his daughter is a walker herself, or, the carrion. She's one of the carrion.
Hmm.
And he pretty much commits suicide.
Yeah. In a horrible, horrible way, I might add.
Yeah, very horrible. And then they're like, oh, let's just grab his head to infect
Hmm.
Finch, Like, dang, y'all just heartless.
And that poor kid, because
Yeah.
this kid is gonna die. You know that she's
I
not gonna
mean,
come up with the
unless
cure,
somehow June pulls off a miracle, oh yeah, this kid's gonna die.
because it was right there in the on the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there's no amputation. There's it's not like he got bit on the arm or the leg or something like that. No, I mean this is
No.
a core body injury. So there's no amputation.
And look,
And
this they let that head gnaw on his shoulder. I'm like, okay,
hmm
look, you're not even gonna just say bite the shoulder. You just left the head there to like chew on the shoulder.
right,
That is, they want to make sure, I guess, he cannot be saved.
right. And I have to say, when I'm like, as she's lowering that head, I'm like, she's just waiting for June to capitulate. She's just waiting for June to capitulate, and then she's gonna
Mm-hmm.
stop. No, she didn't.
No.
She
Mm-mm.
didn't.
No, I was wondering if she was actually gonna do it. I'm sitting there like, "Oh my god, that is crazy." I'm like, "Don't do it." And they're screaming. I felt in that moment like you are not really gonna let that head bite
And
that child.
I guess,
And they
you know, where I
did.
thought they weren't going to do they weren't going to do that to the kid. It was going to be like Dwight or Sherry,
Mhm.
because obviously June has a connection to him that would inspire her. But no, the kid. I'm gonna I'm gonna give him kudos for that particular choice, because I mean, it's not that they haven't ever been kid cruels to kids before, because they have been, but this one is probably one of the more blatant
Blatantly.
cruelties.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a on purpose choice. And I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
this is setting up June. Like, if she doesn't succeed, I think it's going to wreck her. That's the end,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
you know?
Well, and so we've got Dwight and Sherry being pushed out. Where they're taking them, it's hard to say. Something tells me they are going to meet up with Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that would be the logical, you know, thing at this point. And then for them to tell Morgan what they know and what just happened, which of course will send Morgan, who right now is now beginning to once again question his life choices again, um, to really
Morgan, that
take it over the
ultimate
top,
flip
and then
flopper.
right, and then get a hold of Grace,
Mm-hmm.
who's still on the inside, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where the downfall begins. And
Yeah, I
the one
definitely can
guy,
see two different things going on, two different storylines going on at once,
right,
you know,
and we've
with
also got,
Mo.
well, Mo, but the guy that, you know, was following June around. He There is apparently another group. So when those people barged in there at the first, I thought it was his people because of the way they were dressed. Um, but
Yeah.
they're out there somewhere looking for him.
And we don't know how many there are, right? It could be two, it could be
It could be
12.
two. Um, but something
Yeah.
tells me that there's going to be a convergence of some kind.
Mhm. Mhm. Hmm. Yeah,
So,
probably, but I think they're going to have to be careful with too many groups, too many things. Again,
right.
I feel like it seems like the story has the ability to be really strong, right? Really go
Mm-hmm.
out on a high note and tie up things and have like the ultimate big bad be the final thing, which is Padre. But when
Mm-hmm.
you start splitting the attention too many ways, I think that could be good or bad depending on how it plays out. You know, we said
Like
that
it.
before, like with The Walking Dead, when they had like another little, random thing that didn't have anything to do with the bigger story. Like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, another
Well,
group?
I think if
Really?
they get, because right now there's not enough people with, okay, so if they we just had Dwight, Sherry, and Morgan, all right, and Madison, if she got out of the situation, who knows? Um, that's not enough. Even with Grace, it's not enough. And so my guess is, like I said, I think what'll happen is Morgan is probably going to stumble upon either Dwight and Sherry or this group that's, you know, was trying to track down June.
Okay, well, we still know Daniel's
And
around. We saw him. Luciana's
yeah,
probably
I think
around.
he's a
Nothing happened to her,
bad
right? She's
guy.
still alive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Daniel is a bad man. Right now, because he was bordering on batshit. Um,
Uh, yeah.
and I have a feeling he is their icon or something. I don't know. He's some kind of bigwig, and he's
Oh
in
no.
control.
Daniel's kind of crazy right now.
I did say batshit. Um,
Yeah, yeah, he's crazy. Um,
yeah.
but you know who else we still have a chance of seeing is Victor. We still have a chance to see him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess yes, I don't mind more people, but we don't have enough time to connect with anyone. So they're all going to be like people that could die, right? They will be just
Yeah.
people that could die without any kind of impact if that's what they're going
Right.
to do.
And like I said, I think they'll meet up with this other group just so they'll have enough people to attack Padre,
Hmm.
because they'll need them.
Well,
And
we're about to meet a bunch of kids, a bunch of people inside of Padre that are going to join them, and we're not
yep,
going to know any of them or care about any of them.
right. We do know that for the previews for next week that excuse me, Madison shatters that window,
Hmm.
so we get to see who sits behind the window. So that'll be good. I mean, if nothing else, the previews for next week at least tell me that they're going to be moving along at a fairly brisk pace.
Yeah, and I was wondering that when I saw that. I'm like, is that for next week or are they just throwing in a clip from somewhere else further down the road? Like,
Yeah,
will
I
that
assumed it
happen
was
next
next
week?
week. I assumed it was next week the way they played it out, but I could be
Mm,
wrong.
I guess we'll just have to find out. Because what will kill me is if she shatters the window and there's like no one there but like a speaker or something. Like,
Oh, I
what?
know. Oh, that would be infuriating,
Yeah.
but it could be. Who knows?
Hmm. I don't know. There's a lot to work out still, but I feel like this episode was really good overall. Like I was really happy with the pacing of it. I
Mm-hmm.
was happy with I felt like enough interesting things that were going on where I was like, "Oh my god." Like I got a couple of, "Wow, I can't believe this is happening," from simple things like June going around just chopping off fingers. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she's going to chop that guy's finger off." You know? So from that to biting children and trains full of walkers, like they had a lot of good things going on for this episode that kept it really engaging.
Oh yeah, and I mean it was edgy.
Yeah, it
It
was.
it was dark. It was
Mm.
appropriate. I mean, aside from the kid, might have. I mean, I'm not going to say they stepped over the line
Oh no, they
or jumped
didn't.
the shark, but I mean, it was appropriately dark for the circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. These shows technically are in the horror genre.
Oh yeah.
And it feels like they haven't really been that aggressive on this show in that way in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Well, you know,
turn the corner.
they had to drop an atomic bomb. Yep. Bleh.
I
Anyway.
know, which totally dragged the show down, in my opinion. It dragged the story, it dragged the pacing of everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after last week's episode, I thought, we talked about it being kind of a setup episode, which is true, but I was really glad that the second episode looked really different from the first episode because it was slow.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling better. I feel like I don't think every episode is going to be like episode 2 as far as like the fast pacing and even the way it looked. It looked a little different. You could tell it was shot a little different. It
Mm-hmm.
just had all these different vibes. So I definitely think we're going to be bouncing around as far as those kind of things depending
Mm-hmm.
on what they're trying to show. So I think we might have some more not as interesting episodes. And then we'll
I
have
don't
these
know.
sprinkled throughout. That's my 2 cents.
I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. Two
Yeah.
episodes down, both of them were good. You know, I had again minor issues like just kill the walkers as you walk past them. Come on,
Yeah.
dude.
See, that stuff
Um,
didn't bother me too bad though. But I
and
really try
and
not
I
to.
know why they did it. It was for
Yeah.
dramatic effect.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, that was the whole reason for any of that dramatic effect. And but yeah, but other than that, I really like these moments. I like the moments between like Dwight and Sherry when they were standing before they fell into the cart. You know, and she's like, "No, we made this deal." He's like, "Yeah, but he's old enough now. We could go. We could be a family again." And the two of them, their entire relationship has been a struggle to be together because of some big bad. You know?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it has. And even Sherry, and that's what I like about how they're staying true to these two characters because Sherry has not changed.
No,
She
neither
had
is
a
Dwight.
baby, but she's the same. And so is Dwight. These two characters,
Mm-hmm.
actually, June too, they've all really stayed the same.
Uh huh.
Um,
They're just
Sherry's
harder.
like, stop calling me honey. I don't, why are you calling me that? She's very because she doesn't like how it makes her feel. They're not together. It's
We're
Bob,
following the rules. We're
they're
following the
following the
rules.
rules. Stop trying to cross the line, Dwight. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
she's very like that. And then all of a sudden they like agree again, we're going to do something off the books. We're going to deviate, you know?
Right. Well, and I mean,
And
if you go back to when they were in Sanctuary, Sherry's the one that made the decision to stay in Sanctuary because Daryl, when they came across Daryl and the whole insulin thing, offered them another place to get away,
mhm.
and Sherry said no, we're going back, which was stupid.
Mhm.
And Dwight went okay, and he followed her until she decided, nope, can't do this anymore in Sanctuary. I'm out of here.
Mhm.
And then Dwight went, oh, okay, and then finally, changed pace. And Dwight went through hell because she wanted to stay in Sanctuary. Had his face burned.
Yeah.
She's the reason,
Yeah.
and Dwight literally has followed her across the ends of the earth
He honestly loves that woman beyond reason.
beyond
Beyond
reason.
reason. Because the stuff he has done to be with her and stay with her and like just follow her around like a damn puppy dog. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh hell no. Nah. They should honestly, he is the reason why they are together.
Oh yeah. Because she, when he found her again, she's like, "No."
Mhm.
She was not nice. She was feral. And
Yeah.
but but it's every time Dwight's ever stayed in a terrible situation, it's because Sherry has said, "No, we're going to do this." Okay.
I almost feel like
Um
Dwight likes the abuse Sherry gives him. Like,
I think he
and
does
it's
too.
yeah, like he likes being bossed around. He like he likes it, and she just keeps doing her, and he just
Uh-huh.
loves it.
And I'm sure
Mhm.
from her point of view, at least initially when she decided, okay, we're going to, you know, stay here and let them raise our kid. I think part of it was uh, inherently Sherry wants the security of a strong man,
Hmm.
and that's not Dwight. She loves Dwight. Don't get me wrong, but she loves him like a puppy dog. But
Dwight
what
is
she
a beta man, honestly.
and
Yeah.
and but she is very attracted to, and not in a sexual way, but in a comfort zone way. She feels safer when the person in charge is a extremist
Uh,
masculine person.
uh,
And and again, I mean that's definitely not Dwight, but she
uh-huh.
gravitates towards him because that's otherwise there's no reason why when Daryl offered to give them sanctuary away from sanctuary,
Mhm.
uh, that she didn't jump on it. She should have. I mean, the rational part of her should have said, "Well, we already escaped, so sure, why not?" Um, but no, they went back, and it wasn't until she had hit
Yeah.
her limit, not Dwight reaching his limit, but her reaching her limit, and
Yeah. But when you
again,
think about it, though, when they came off these boats, they were in a state, right? They just
yeah,
ran away from like the whole thing with the burning building. They didn't have a place anymore. They were very displaced. It
mm-hmm,
probably didn't take much to persuade her. Like you said, she
no,
was going to be very, very pregnant very quickly.
right, and who wants to be pregnant and have a baby in swamp?
Right.
And I mean, she probably, I mean, and again, when those boats were captured, I am sure they were captured. And
Yeah.
so the choices were pretty limited. They could have, my guess is probably the deal they were made was we will immediately put Dwight out. He'll never come back. We will force you, we will hold you here against your will to have the baby, and as soon as it's born, we're going to shove you out.
Hmm.
So at least this way, she probably did feel that this was their better option all around. And I can't say that
Probably.
I blame her because after having children, I'm here to tell you, I would not want to have a baby in the swampland. You know?
No, I don't think anybody would, even though, they say your body will help you do what you need to do, but it's better to not be in the swampland and to have medical. But okay, so this is also something else. Speaking of medical attention, where the hell are all the damn doctors? Like, why do you need to bring this child out into, I know they were going someplace, but why didn't they have some doctors at Padre? Like, why are all your medical people away from your community? That seems weird.
It does. My guess is, and you know that billboard sign, I think, is a clue for what's coming next. You know that
Refresh
sign that
me.
she was looking at, the billboard, and it had like that new hospital or whatever. It was an advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where they were actually heading to.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm kind of wondering if maybe this area is like a series of like inlets, little island groupings or something,
I don't
rather
know.
than.
It just seems like if you're trying to protect all the children, you have a small team of medical people within your
Mhm.
protected walls.
You would think, but apparently the clinic is not in the same. But then
No.
again, the on the island there, apparently you're transferred after a certain age. So I think there's different facilities. To be truthful, the way it
Yeah, there
sounds,
probably
they're
are.
they're not centralized. Because in the first episode with Ren, they made the comment. The comment was made. I don't understand why they moved you here already. You're not old enough. You should be with the other group. And I think the other group is on another is in another section. They're not, and it could be that's where their medical personnel is with the younger kids because technically they need smaller children generally need more medical care.
No, they need medical care where Ren is. You got this girl fighting walkers in a ring. If
Hmm.
she gets bit or something, someone needs to cut off her limb. Like, where are the medical people?
I I mean, there may be one or two, but maybe they just don't have surgeons there. They needed a surgeon. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
It doesn't make any sense to me, but they seem very decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't. Maybe they don't want the 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 medical people at the training center. The ones they do are deal with more things like broken bones rather than surgery. I don't know.
Well, I guess if a trainee gets bit, they can just ship her over to be used as an
For
experiment.
as an experiment. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's. I mean, that is this whole. I mean, from the very beginning, as soon as we found out about Padre, I mean, it's very cold blooded. This is not a nurturing environment. And I mean, and I do understand from one point of view, you want to train these kids to survive. But if you want to go back to Judith, she's the perfect example of being trained to survive, but also, you know, being human. And that would be the ideal, in this situation. And what Padre is trying to do is something very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, these are not nice people at all.
No, they're not. And the irony of like Alicia was trying so hard to get to Padre. She was doing that most crazy things like
I
following
know.
around a dead walker. Like she was doing all the things to try to get to Padre and all she was marching them right into danger.
Hmm. All of them
Mhm.
completely unaware of what she was doing.
Like jumped from the pot into the fire directly. Like what? That's exactly what
At that
happened.
point, it makes Victor look warm and fuzzy.
I mean, at least they knew he wasn't going to kill them.
Well, no, that's not true. You know,
Them. He well, I think, yes, Victor was using threats. He killed people, he tossed people off buildings, but none of that core group did he do that to.
Right. Well, and he wasn't methodical, okay? And he wasn't methodically separating families and stuff.
No.
Um,
He was
now
emotional about his choices.
he's very emotional. That's why he split up the people that he split up, when he
Hmm.
took some people in from the group and not. It was those were all they were met with maximum damage.
Hmm.
It was to be devastating, but for the people that he doesn't have any ties with, he's a lot more cordial.
Yeah.
Um,
Until you piss him off or he doesn't trust you,
right.
then
But
off the roof you go.
right. But none of his was not planned cruelty. It was spontaneous. And that's not
No,
any
because he
better.
wasn't trying to be cruel. He just wanted to win. His goal was
Mhm.
to be in charge and win, not to be
Right.
cruel.
Mhm.
And it just happened to be sometimes he had to be cruel to win, so he would
Right.
do it.
And I'm not saying that method is any better, okay? Because it wasn't, but at least Padre
He was,
is a
yeah.
whole next level. Just even over. I mean, um, I'm sorry, you guys. I am having a terrible Monday, and I'm trying to remember uh, Bat Boy's name,
Ooh,
Lucille. I remember Lucille from
I
you
don't
know
know.
from the Walking Dead. He has the bat, Lucille.
Oh, Negan?
Thank you. All right.
Like, what are you talking about? Okay,
Okay.
got it.
So Negan, even again,
Uh,
cruelty was not the point. He enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but he enjoyed it because he liked the power. He wasn't intentionally, methodically doing what Padre is doing. Padre is very cold and calculated. There is a plan, and it doesn't allow for human, weakness.
oh no,
And
raping women is methodical and cruel.
well, but it's emotional,
It is.
and it's
It's
for the most
power.
part, yeah. It's a power trip. It's not, doing those things to those women wasn't really, it wasn't really part of the quote unquote plan for him. It was one of the perks. Um,
You said a perk.
I'm
I,
saying from his point of view, from his point of
yes.
view. Okay, I'm not saying that
Yes.
I agree with it. I'm just
Yes.
saying,
I know. I know. It's just funny the way. Yes, I understand.
and he was very manipulative, but again, he wasn't methodical. Okay, Negan didn't have a grand plan. He didn't try to split up families except for the wives that he wanted. Um, and he wasn't trying to be. He wasn't trying to remake humanity, and
Hmm.
that's what they're trying to. Padre is trying an experiment of they are literally trying to redefine what it is to be human.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I want to know who is behind Padre because if we think about the what started this whole cycle, of events was, a congressman or a senator or somebody was
Yeah,
talking about Padre. So,
and this was a plan.
yeah.
There was a plan.
Yeah. So what is it exactly? Who is in charge exactly?
Mm-hmm. And
And
what is the plan exactly? And
yeah, and is this like some kind of bastardized version? Like because the people are no longer there or in charge or whatever? Or is this what the plan was the whole time?
yeah, and I do know that there were probably a lot more answers in that book that never was read because all she could think of was we just got to get to Padre. It's supposed to be a safe place. Um,
Safe
and I'm pretty
place to
sure they didn't say in
die.
the plans, we're going to cruelly remake all of humanity. But there was,
No, they keep that off books. No one writes that down.
yeah, no one writes that down.
Yeah.
But I really think that there was, if she had taken the time to legitimately read it, I don't think she would have been as gung ho going. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know that the plan that they have right, how Padre is being executed right now is part of the initial plan, or it evolved due to circumstances. Um, it's hard to say, but I would like to know very much who's in charge and how this came about, and I hope they give us some of those answers.
It better be like really good and really serious. Like I want something even more than what like Pamela was doing in The Walking Dead. I want something so I want it to be a real bad, like really,
Mm-hmm.
really bad. Like I wouldn't mind a government thing, like, this is how it began, or the
Yeah.
government's in charge of this, your own government.
Well,
Um
and I wonder how
yeah.
many, because the way it sounded, the bits and sprinkles we've gotten about Padre,
Mhm.
all of the upper government echelon knew of Padre. It was, or at least knew something of it, or were informed of it as things went went to hell.
Mhm.
So like on the submarine, Padre was mentioned.
Mhm.
So and we know from other interactions that the senator was on his way to Padre. He was supposed to be taking his family there, so his family should be there somewhere in that mess. Uh, so there should, in theory, not just be one government official. There should be many, and I would say so. There would be military, upper brass military, politicians, and anyone who was wealthy enough to buy their way in
And then
to what they thought was
surprise, it's
safety.
not what you thought. Yeah.
Right. And my guess is because this has been ongoing since the very beginning of the apocalypse. It probably did not start out this way, but it evolved this way for whatever reason. And that reason is what I'm curious about. What
Yeah.
was Padre meant to be, and how did it evolve into what it is?
Yeah. Well, despite that answer, I feel like the more, despite what Padre is doing and what they're trying to do, the more our people that we know continue to find each other and link up and
Mm-hmm.
realize that they are in a effed up situation, this, Padre's going down. That's going to be the end game. We
Oh
know
yeah.
it.
I
Um,
mean, there's no way
yeah,
that they're going to let Padre stand.
no.
That's
So it's
if
just
they
going to
ended
be
this
who makes it
series.
out.
If they ended this series with Padre winning and all of our people, dead, dying, or bitten, um, that would not be a satisfying ending.
Honestly, that would take some big ones, and I'd like to see them do it. Like, okay, that would not be a happy ending, but I'm sorry, you don't always need a happy ending in horror.
No, you
You
don't.
you're not gonna get that, and that's why I feel like sometimes when I think about the end of The Walking Dead, like, we didn't really remember we were all trying to figure out who was gonna die, right?
Yeah, that's
We were
true.
all doing that whole exercise, and then it was like, dang, they totally just got rid of people that didn't matter. And that's why
Yeah,
I'm thinking they're gonna do here again. And to me, that's whack. Like, I want to feel some type of
loss.
sadness or loss for someone or a few someones that we really know, because in the real world, if you were in this kind of situation, everyone doesn't make it out alive, and this is not a romance with a required happy ending.
True. I mean,
So,
I think we have
yeah.
a good idea that the setup is going to be. I think there's going to be a darker ending to this. I mean, on the second episode, we've already got a kid got that was intentionally bitten,
But that's
in the
some
most
things, like,
horrific
they
manner.
starting out strong, but can they follow through? Are they gonna
Yeah.
follow through?
So it's hard to say.
Is it gonna
I'm
be
staying
in like a
hopeful.
lion, out like a lamb? Or
Yeah.
is it gonna be something else?
Yeah. So I'm hopeful. Like I said, I am hopeful that they end strong.
I hope so. Just be good. That's all I
Yeah.
want. Just be good, and don't have me, because I felt like, meh. I mean, I like the end of The Walking Dead, but it was fine, right? It was fine.
It was fine.
It was fine. It wasn't like, dang, that was the best ending, you know? And we talked about how they've kind of ruined the ending because we knew of all these spin-offs.
Hmm.
So they really have a chance to do something different with Fear, right? They
Yeah.
really do. And I
I
hope they
think if
deliver that.
I think if they hadn't announced, like we discussed before, if they had announced the spinoffs beforehand when everything was still up in the air,
Mhm.
it the ending would have had much more satisfaction to it.
Mhm.
Because we didn't know. We didn't know that um, you know Daryl and and Carol and Maggie and Negan were all going to survive.
Mhm.
And if we had no idea if they had just announced those spin-offs right after the end of The Walking Dead, then that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But they were trying to get every ounce of whatever they could.
Because people had honestly fallen off of this show. We know that. We know the facts about the numbers and the
Yeah.
viewership and stuff. So they were trying to, I think, keep people on board, right? Through the end. Stay on board. We got some good stuff coming, type of
And they
thing. I
could have
think that's what they were
teased.
doing.
And
Yeah.
they could have teased, that there will be a spin-off. They could have even, the Dead City or whatever, um, without giving away who was going to be in it.
Right. But that's why I really feel like this show has a unique opportunity to do some interesting and daring and bold things with the end of their show,
Yeah.
right? They have a
And I'm
chance.
hopeful.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm hopeful too, but I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. And I figured, and it worked for me. I was successful last episode. I lowered my expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have this high bar because I knew they would fall short if I had this high bar. So I lowered
Right.
the bar and it was fine. It was good.
It was all good.
Yeah. But I mean, that might not be good that I have to say I lowered the bar, but I kind of did.
Yeah. Well,
So,
like I said, so far I'm not unhappy with how things are going.
yeah.
So I'm just hoping that they keep that momentum.
Yeah, me too. I want them to. I want them to win. I want them to win. I want this to be like, wow, that was like a really strong season at the end, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, and I really don't want them to, but I could see them at the end of this series killing off Morgan because Morgan has been throughout his entire run as I'm the one that survives, and he's even said, several times, everyone dies around me, I'm always okay.
Mm-hmm.
So him dying would probably be the absolute most impactful.
Mm. They could have him die, but I want it to be like because he's an old man, like and he's 20 years later and he's an old man chilling somewhere and he dies.
Well, that's what I would prefer. Like I
Yeah.
said, for me, the ending that I would really like to see is for Morgan to lead this ragtag bag, or band of survivors, and you see him step up to the doorway there of or the gateway there of Alexandria. That's what I want as the ending. I don't think I'm going to get it, but that's what I
No,
want.
you're not. I'm telling you, but you know what? Death has been done well. And I'm going to like throw this out here. I know this show has nothing to do with Fear or The Walking Dead, but they did it right. The end of The Vampire Diaries, people fucking died.
Yeah.
You fast forward and people are dead. You see them in the afterlife and it makes everyone bawl and boo hoo. And it was so good. So there's a way to like in the story in a way that's like the best you're gonna get, right? Like it's
Right.
hopeful, but it's sad, you know, because you're sad to see it go and not
Right.
some lame, flat ending. So there's so many possibilities, and I'm down for it. I'm down for the ride. I hope they deliver something that I can talk about in a year from now and be like, wow, that was a really good ending.
I'm hoping so too.
Yeah, because I still remember that Vampire Diaries ending. I did cry like a little baby. I'm like, oh my god, that so
I didn't
rarely
watch.
happens.
I didn't watch the show, so I have no commentary.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're done today. What do you think, Lisa?
I think we are done, Tamara.
All right, so this was a good one. You guys come back next week. We are going to be here. Oh my gosh, is that the day before Memorial Day or is that Memorial Day? Next Monday.
Um,
I don't know. We'll be here though.
Yeah, it'll be Memorial Day.
Okay, or I don't know. Are we not going to be here? Do we have to figure that out?
Honestly, I hadn't given it any thought.
Okay,
I'm
well
gonna be
guess what?
okay.
You guys subscribe and come back and see if we're here on Monday. And if not, there'll be a recorded episode for you. We'll figure it out, but hopefully we'll be here on Monday. So thank you for listening, checking out the whole episode. We appreciate you for being here. And we will catch you next week. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.